Welcome back to North Dakota Today. With the students getting ready to go back to school soon, Betsy Hill of Brainware Learning Company is here to give us an overview on the state of education. Welcome, Betsy. How you doing this morning?
I'm great, Nishay. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the state of education, kind of explain what Brainware is.
We are all about cognitive skills, and cognitive skills are how our brains take in information. It's how we learn. And as everybody gets ready to go back to school, there's a lot of focus on what we're going to learn this year, but not always on how we learn. And so that's what Brainware is all about: understanding how we learn and then improving how we learn.
Awesome. Can you kind of give examples of some of those cognitive skills so that parents at home can kind of understand?
Sure. Some of them we're very familiar with, things like attention and memory, visual processing, auditory processing. And then there's a special group of cognitive skills called executive functions. And many educators are familiar with those, some parents. And those are how we organize ourselves and keep on track and manage our behavior and all those kinds of things. So it's really how we do just about everything we do, from learning to behavior to sports to just about anything that we use our brains for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what is neuroplasticity? And, kind of explain how that even pertains to learning.
Oh, well, neuroplasticity is really why we're able to learn. So what neuroplasticity means is that our brains can change. And the way that learning happens is that we have all of these billions and trillions of, actually billions of neurons in our brains, about 85 billion of them. And they communicate. Those are the little cells in our brains, and they're very tiny, but we've got billions and billions of them. And they communicate with each other, and they can change the way that they communicate with each other. They can build new networks. And that's what neuroplasticity really means. It means that our brains can change. We can develop new skills. Every time we learn, we actually physically change our brains.
Awesome. Well, let's kind of backtrack a little bit about, how long you've been doing this and how you've seen the progression of children that you've helped in this process.
Well, we've been doing this for a couple of decades now, and the work actually goes back farther than that to work that happened in a clinical setting with a whole different variety of disciplines, from speech pathology to vision development to occupational therapy, neurology, psychology. And when we take the perspective that all those different processes in our brains have to work together, that's really what we do that is different from many others, and that helps very quickly. In fact, in a matter of 3 to 4 months or so, we can significantly improve the functioning of those cognitive skills in a way that actually translate into better performance academically and in other parts of life.
Okay, well, with so many methods that you use, is there a way that parents can coach their own children in order to use your methods to help them in learning?
Indeed, they can. We work with lots of families. Some of them choose to have us be the coach, and some of them choose to do the coaching themselves. And it's not terribly difficult, but it does take a serious commitment. But parents who really want to help their children, who want to see them going from struggling to capable, confident learners, can actually do that. What it really involves is about 3 to 5 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes for 12 to 14 weeks. And in that time frame, which is very manageable in most people's schedules, you can actually have a tremendous impact. 3 to 4 years of cognitive growth, 1 to 2 years of academic growth, even in that short time period.
Okay, quickly before I go into this other question, I know a lot of children have been, impacted by COVID-19 in their education. How has your processes helped a lot of children, following all of that?
Well, one of the things that probably the biggest thing that happened during COVID for parents is that they, for the first time, were able to see their children trying to do school, trying to follow along in class, complete their homework. and the parents became, in many cases, the educators. When they saw many of them, their children struggling, it was really eye-opening. And they realized that children don't always get the kind of supports that they need in school. Teachers work very hard, they're very committed, but don't often have the resources or the time to invest in individual students. And so a lot of parents started to homeschool. They took their children out of school. And what we, mostly because they were struggling, they lacked confidence, they just, it was just too overwhelming, too stressful for them. And what we can do when we strengthen those underlying cognitive processes is that we make learning easier.
All right, Betsy, I'm so sorry, but we actually have to go. But
Yeah.
there's been so much good information that you shared with everyone here this morning. Before we go, I know we really have to go. Tell folks how we can reach you.
www.mybrainware.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt you, but we really have to go. But I hope you have a wonderful morning. Coming up today on today's show, Audubon's Great Plains and Fargo Park District are here to talk about tagging butterflies. Interesting. Stay tuned.